Tan, Chairman of the Singapore Quality Institute. With me are my colleagues from Singapore. On behalf of my team, we are greatly thankful to SASO and honored to be given the opportunity to address and share our experience in this 6th Saudi National Quality Conference. Before I begin my presentation, we would like to express our thanks to Dr. Amri, President of the Saudi Quality Council, and the examples from successful organizations. In today's fast-changing and interconnected world, enterprises are actively pursuing sustainable growth for long-term survival, to help local businesses strengthen their management practices and achieve sustainable results and sustainable improvements in productivity and performance. Today, the BE framework enables organizations to validate their performance and gain recognition locally and internationally. Since its inception 23 years ago, more than 1,800 organizations have embarked on this BE initiative in Singapore, and they have since improved their current performances and achieved excellence. The implementation of the Business Excellence Framework by organizations require the commitment and involvement from the CEO to all levels of employees. A key to this BE framework, which is aligned to International Excellence Framework adopted by the United States Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award, the European Foundation Management Quality Award. Framework provides a comprehensive set of management standards for business excellence. It illustrates the cause and effect relationships between the drivers of performance and the results achieved. The attributes of excellence, as you can see from the lower right-hand side of the chart, describes key characteristics of high-performing organizations and are embedded throughout all the critical drivers of the framework. The organization profile sets the context for the way the organization operates and serves as an overarching guide for how the framework is applied. In the framework, there are 7 categories used to assess an organization. Leadership sets the strategic direction for the organization and drives the mindset of excellence, as it was previously mentioned by the various speakers. Customers are positioned after leadership to demonstrate the focus on customer centricity. Strategy is developed based on the understanding internal and external stakeholder requirements, which guides the development of people or process capabilities to achieve results, the desired results. Knowledge is part of the feedback loop of learning and innovation, which supports decision-making and drives improvements. I will now share with you the insights of how some organizations have adopted the Business Excellence Framework from the perspective of staff in the participating organizations. These insights were gained from a survey of participating organizations from the private and public sectors, an in-depth study of several selected companies and organizations. In view of the limited time, today I'm going to share with you two of such organizations' experience and hope you will find this information useful in pursuing the business excellence journey. Firstly, we have Qianhu Corporation Limited. Qianhu is an integrated, one-stop ornamental fish service provider whose services range from the breeding of dragonfish to farming, importing, exporting, and distributing ornamental fish. In addition, Qianhu also manufactures aquarium and pet accessories and distributes them to local and overseas customers. The company is an excellent example of a local, small and medium enterprise, SME in short, that has strived against all odds to become the first SME in Singapore to win the Singapore Quality Award in 2004. For its continuous efforts in sustaining business excellence, Qianhu won the Singapore Quality Award again in 2009. It is the only SME to have won the award twice. It was also a People Excellence Award winner in 2009. When Mr. Kenny Yap, CEO of Qianhu Corporation, attended a trade fair in Germany in 1994, he was asked by a potential customer, "Why should I buy fish from you?" This question triggered Kenny to ponder on his organization's ability to compete in global marketplace. This incident left a deep impression and motivated him to search relentlessly for avenues to distinguish Qianhu from its competitors. In late 1990s, Qianhu embarked on a business excellence journey which served as an effective platform for Qianhu to strengthen its diversification and global expansion efforts. Today, Qianhu is a successful one-stop integrated ornamental fish supplier and provider dealing with a wide range of activities, including breeding, farming, importing, exporting, and distribution of ornamental fish. It is also a manufacturer of the pets accessories. Now it is a global breeder of arowana fish and distributor of ornamental fish and accessories. How did Qianhu distinguish or differentiate themselves from others? Compared to the other improvement programs, the Business Excellence Framework is the most comprehensive and thorough framework to adopt. It is rigorous because it encompasses all the important elements of managing business. This was what the CEO mentioned. As such, the Business Excellence Framework was a key platform for Qianhu to develop strong management systems and processes. Over time, the Business Excellence Framework has become a blueprint for top management to plan, enhance, and refine their thoughts for business expansion and differentiation. For Kenny, the Business Excellence Framework constitutes the basic concepts and fundamentals of good running a good organization. Furthermore, the concepts behind the business excellence framework are applicable to all organizations, regardless of industry type and size. A good organization, according to him, is one that is sustainable beyond one generation. And for that to happen, it must perform well on all dimensions of the framework. Kenny also reflected that embarking on the business excellence journey has helped Chien Hu to bite the bullet and do the right things. We learn how to be robust in our operations and how to cope with changing market conditions. So in the economic downturn, we are better prepared as an organization to respond to challenges and sustain growth. That was what Kenny reflected on. Undoubtedly, there are obviously challenges during the journey. For SMEs coming on board the business excellence, the resources have to be well managed. And staff must learn multitask. Given tight resource constraints, the key to successful business excellence implementation lies in the corporate culture and the commitment of staff. Chien Hu's strong culture of cooperation and teamwork has rallied staff to work together to support the business excellence journey. This was reinforced by a clearly articulated vision by top management. To begin the journey, top management must truly believe in the benefits of adopting the framework, said Kenny. Next, the top management must have a positive attitude to influence staff to embrace business excellence. Communication channels must be established and the business excellence message must be clear, said Kenny. Leadership is absolutely critical. The leader must shape the culture and mindset. It is his behavior and example that sets the tone to the organization. The success stories. A key lesson from Chien Hu is that the business excellence framework is universal and can be useful for all types of organizations. This is the key message and a critical one. In particular, SMEs can leverage on the business excellence journey and reap substantial gains and benefits. When asked what advice he would give to SMEs who are thinking of embarking on the business journey, Kenny has this to say. The boss has to first answer this question. Do you want to run a good company? If you want to run a good company that is sustainable beyond your lifetime, then yes, you should go ahead and adopt business excellence. The business excellence framework is, however, too big to be adopted overnight. So tackle the categories one by one. Strengthen the areas where you have already attained the minimum standards, and then you proceed. I'd like to share with you the second organization. This organization is called Teck Hwa Industrial Corporation Limited. Teck Hwa was established in 1968 in Singapore as a manufacturer of plain boxes. Now the homegrown public listed company is the largest provider of wide range of services, including printing, packaging, software manufacturing, and also manages fourth-party logistics and aftermarket and reverse logistics to its multinational clients in the Asia Pacific. It has also expanded its operations to countries such as Malaysia, China, Indonesia, Korea, Thailand, Japan, and India. When Teck Wah embarked on the business excellence journey in 1997, it was among the first organizations to do so. Its efforts paid off when it won the Singapore Quality Award in 2006. When the current chairman and managing director, Mr. Thomas Chua, joined the organization in 1979 and took over the leadership 10 years later in 1989, he wanted Teck Wah to be a big fish in the small pond. Around 1995, Teck Wah actively scouted around for a framework to improve its management systems and processes, and decided to adopt the business excellence framework. Then, Thomas wanted to strengthen the management systems and raise business standards at Teck Wah in order to differentiate the company from the competitors and to sustain growth over the long term. The influence of business excellence framework on Teck Wah. When asked what was the biggest impact of business excellence on Teck Wah, Thomas replied that impact goes beyond increased profits. The biggest contribution of the business excellence journey is the fine-tuning of mindsets, where the quest for business excellence is ingrained in the value system of everyone in the organization. During his experiences, he encouraged SMEs to come on board business excellence. Think beyond being an SME. Act accordingly to the business context, but you must have an open mindset. Then it is easy to get on the business excellence journey. He also offers an opinion on the issue of the company size. Don't think you are small and give yourself excuses that the business excellence framework cannot be applied. Use your resources and stretch yourself. The process is tough, but enjoyable. If you don't try, how would you know that you cannot use the framework successfully? The challenges of the journey. Business excellence successes at Teck Wah did not come without challenges. At times, staff felt burdened with the additional workload they had to carry to meet the requirements of the business excellence framework. As Thomas recalled, extra effort was needed to polish processes and practices, and some staff were able to see the links between the business excellence framework and day-to-day activities to overcome these challenges. Teck Wah step up business excellence education and enhance communication across all levels of the organization. Briefings, sharing sessions, information exchange, training, and open discussions with top management were conducted to get everyone to understand the benefits of the journey. According to Thomas, these efforts paid off when staff slowly internalized and blended the business excellence framework into their daily operations. As an SME, Teck Wah has never shied away from the aspirations to compete in the big league to achieve sustainable growth. Teck Wah uses the business excellence framework to constantly improve on its management and operational practices. the business excellence journey has also inculcated a value system of continuous improvement and business excellence in the organization. Teck Whye has performed well, being conferred the prestigious SQA. However, Teck Whye recognizes what is more important is the transformation efforts of the business excellence journey and the long-term gains of staying in the journey. The journey was not without obstacles, but Teck Whye never gave up. Through good leadership, Teck Whye has successfully leveraged on the business excellence experience to grow the organization in both scale and scope. In conclusion, I would like to add that with a dynamic business landscape and changing management trends, it is important for organizations to embark on business excellence framework to strengthen your business fundamentals so as to keep pace with economic development and technological trends to enhance growth and seize new market opportunities. Do continue to maintain your achievement culture with strong leadership and continue to innovate your processes to nurture your people, to motivate them to spur to greater heights. There is an old Chinese saying that goes this way: it is not easy to start a business, but it is even more difficult to maintain its existence. The business world is like a battlefield. The quality journey is a never-ending one, with no holidays and destinations, just new frontiers and challenges to conquer. Overcoming the barriers and odds will lead us closer to more fulfilling and resounding success. My best wishes to all of you, and have a successful business journey ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tan, for the excellent presentation and also sticking to the time. And we'll open the floor to the questions now. We'll start with the question from here, okay? But please make it concise and to the point. We'll take a question from the people from here. Where is the mic? Anybody carrying the mic? Okay, you could ask the question, I will mention it.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It seems to be that we are quite enchanted by systems of excellence from different parts of the world. However, because I have a little neurosis, my doctor say little neurosis is a healthy symptom. People or organization, corporation that they have EFQM award or Malcolm Beverage Quality Award or whatever, East West. On 2008 and 2009, there was a series of corporations, particularly in the United States, Europe, and the Far East. They went into drastic bankruptcy despite the fact they have all types of quality system certification. Why is that? Because if we don't get quite cautious in our movement for quality excellence systems, I'm very much afraid that the quality system can be changed into quality syndrome. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for the question. Indeed, you are right. We are dealing with processes, we are dealing with systems, but you have to remember there is the systems and processes alone will not make the company tick. Many organizations have actually the problem of splitting the quality processes and the systems and methodologies as a different entity. The importance is to how you can actually ingrain into the organizations and align these processes to the day-to-day work of the organizations, then you will find that this culture will develop with time. And only that when we have organizations, all organizations work with humans, with cultures, with beliefs. These beliefs and culture has to be ingrained and aligned nicely with the systems and processes to make it a success. If you are just emphasizing on systems and processes without taking into consideration culture, the company will find it very challenging to succeed. On the other hand, it is a prerogative of the leadership to be able to see this picture, because you want to turn the picture around, you want to succeed, you cannot do without the involvement of the people in the organization. So that's why we say, from citing from the examples that I've quoted, you first understand the system. The leadership takes over, all right, and deploy it to every member of the organization. And together, you should be able to sail through and achieve the objective of the organization. So the important element, leadership, culture, and people must work hand in hand.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. We'll take another question. ناخذ سؤال آخر. الأخوات.
Thank you very much. My name is Hassan Sharqi from...
Where are you? I can't see you.
Well, I'm almost in the middle.
Okay, go ahead.
My name is Hassan. I'm from Kingdom of Bahrain. Thank you very much for this inspirational speech. I have two quick questions. The first one is regarding the Singaporean excellence model. Where is exactly you reflect the effect of the organization on the society? Because I haven't seen in the model the society results, because we know all that excellence model is not about the success only. It's about being accountable for your people, for your customers, and for the society. The second question is, it was nice to know the effect of the excellence model on those SMEs. However, we haven't seen in your presentation how did those SMEs achieve these objectives. We were looking to see some examples, case studies, not only the reflection and the effect of the excellence model. We were looking to see how did those people achieve this target. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your two questions. The first one, you talk about the effect on the community and the social aspects. Am I right? Did I get the question right? Sorry?
Pardon?
Yes. Now, with that, the importance is, we said systems and processes move hand in hand. Am I right? Now, in order to make this happen, again, you cannot divorce human activities with processes. Therefore, they have to be aligned, hand in hand. And whatever contribution that an organization makes through the progress of moving through the business excellence framework and journey, it is definitely going to have some impact on the staff. But you have to overcome those minor teething problems, take it to be spikes along the way, and overcome them and ingrain into them by role modeling leadership, and eventually the staff will respect that they are not actually tackling something alien in the business. It's very much part and parcel of the culture of the organization. Now, as for the second question, we have deliberately planned that my fourth speaker, Dr. Narinder Kaur, will run through the case study. Her company, being Singapore's National Library, has been an award winner for SQA and Innovation Award. She will take this opportunity to walk you through all the processes, showing you the case studies. That was intended because if I have to overlap, therefore, it would not be efficient. I hope you could appreciate that. And when it comes to the fourth speaker, you will see all the case studies. All right?
Okay, thank you for your answer. And actually, as he mentioned in the last question, the other presentations will complement what he presented. We gave you a chance now to speak up. However, we will continue now to see the second, third, and fourth presentations. Then we will give you the chance, because it seems that some of the questions will be answered in the next presentations. It's all programmed together and it all complemented each other. So we'll move to the next presenter, Mr. Kitson Leonard Lee. He's the Vice Chairman of Singapore Quality Institute, Board Member of ASEAN Network for Quality, and he's Executive Director of SQI. He's a much sought after presenter and facilitator in the topic of service leadership, culture, innovation, and customer experience. He worked in both public government agency and private multinational corporate and small medium enterprise sectors. And he understands the business and operational challenges faced by the organization and their employees. Please join me to welcome Mr. Kitson.
Thank you so much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all. I'm very happy to be here today at your 6th National Quality Conference. I've learned yesterday that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is crossing a historical transformation in many different aspects. The National Transformation Program 2020 and the Saudi Vision 2030. Now, both programs aim to build a strong base which will help the Saudi society take significant steps towards a more prestigious future and guarantee the regional leadership for the kingdom in all fields. I am equally impressed from what I heard this morning as well of enhancing the values of innovation, increasing the index of innovation, moving into a digital economy, increasing your competitiveness index, increasing GDP, creating job opportunities, reducing unemployment. Now, all this require setting up the culture of excellence, and it begins with the leadership. And it is without doubt that the team had wisely chosen quality to be the key pillar in the achievement of that vision. The slogan, quality, the path towards excellence and leadership, clearly articulates the roadmap to excellence in this kingdom. I'm also very happy to learn that the conference emphasizes the importance of achieving excellence, leadership, and advancement in the national economy by investing in the future generation and in the active promotion of a quality culture across all sectors of the society. Now, Singapore is very similar in many, many ways. Our economy has experienced rapid economic developments. In Singapore, we have evolved from a labor-intensive to high-value products. The importance of services to the Singapore economy also grew, as evidenced by the increasing share of our financial and business sectors of our economy. Singapore's longer-term economic strategies and policies are also constantly re-evaluated to adapt to the challenges and priorities over time. And how can this be possible? Our Singapore experience begins with a vision and our drive towards excellence. And we believe in Singapore strongly that for us to survive and to prosper in this century, we must understand why values are important and why a values-driven organizations are successful. Therefore, creating or building that culture of excellence determines its success. We heard a lot this morning about the mention of culture. So one of the attributes of excellence in Singapore's business excellence framework is leading with vision and integrity. Now, leaders inspire with their vision and values. They are steadfast in their principles, but flexible in its details. They co-create the future with stakeholders, and they set the direction for achieving excellence. The culture of excellence does not happen by chance. Building the culture of excellence is the job of the leader. So what is our secret to building that culture of excellence? Many of us here are looking for the best, the most effective, or a proven successful culture. But what really makes a culture, you may ask? So the culture of an organization is a reflection of the values, the beliefs, and the behaviors of the current leaders. It is also the institutional legacy of the values of past leaders that are embedded in the structures, the policies, the systems, the procedures, and incentives of the group. As the leaders' value change, culture changes. To put it simply, the culture of an organization defines who you are and what you stand for. So let me first begin by asking you this question. What if the organization that we are working for today looks something like that? I want you to find a bold and innovative way to do everything exactly the same way it's been done for 25 years. Would innovation be possible? Well, maybe. If that happens, that must be a miracle. It's by chance. Let's take a look at two organizations. This is organization A. And in this organization, you see short-term focus. You see there's blame amongst the employees. You see there's manipulation happening. People at work are very cautious of each other. There's bureaucracy, lots of things to clear before we get approval. There's a lot of control. There's perhaps cost reduction, empire building, image, or maybe even long hours at work. So imagine a workplace culture where you need to be always on your toes every minute, continuously be on the high alert, and be extremely cautious, especially during team discussions, and the need to safeguard your own interests. How will you feel? How about this organization, organization B? Your clients are satisfied with you. There is commitment amongst the employees. There is a culture of continuous learning. We all want to make a difference, perhaps even to the society. There is a global perspective. There is mentoring. There's leadership development opportunities. there's integrity, there are shared values, and there's an open communication. So imagine a workplace culture where there's excitement in the air, where everything is done to enhance the customer experience. Continuous learning is encouraged, and everyone works towards a shared vision of success and remains committed towards that open communication. How would you feel? So, given a choice, which organization would you want to work for? A or B? Why? It's important for us when we talk about the leadership, we need to understand the culture that drives and the values of each leader. And that's exactly what in Singapore we do. So Richard Barrett, the founder of the Barrett's Value Center, describes that the culture of an organization as a reflection of leadership consciousness. So cultures like this are not created overnight. They are not formed by mere policies, procedures, or just a measurement of key performance indicators. Now these cultures have values alignment, mission alignment, and low levels of fear. And that was also being described by our first speaker in his presentation. Now these are also cultures where employees can bring their beliefs and values to work, and there's a shared view throughout the organization. They have the right culture to achieve and sustain excellence. We all have our vision, we all have our mission, but this needs to be cascaded down so that every levels of the organization can be fully aligned and is being embedded in the culture of the organization to achieve excellence. So what's the culture like in our organization today? Now, organizations don't transform. People do. So building that culture of excellence begins with the personal transformation of the leaders. In the words of Professor Elizabeth Moss-Kanter from Harvard Business, she shares that leaders must be institutional builders who instill the organization with meaning that inspires today and endures tomorrow. I'll just share with you on the first category of our business excellence framework of Singapore, where we talk about leaders. So leaders find their purpose. It has to be clearly defined. They develop a clear vision, mission, and a set of values which drive excellence. They understand the importance of ensuring these values resonates with others.
Mr. Kitson, you have 5 minutes.
They obtain buy-in, and they use values as a reference in their decision making. And they ensure that these values are being lived out every day. They understand that building a culture of excellence does not start by simply writing down what they want their culture to be and expecting others to follow. Rather, they personally exemplify these values. Now, the leaders are also personally involved in communicating the organization's directions and the key milestones. They not only take the front seat, but they drive the organization's performance and ensures its success. And importantly, leaders advocate an organizational culture which embraces change. At the same time, they role model these desired behaviors. So we believe that sustainable organizations can address these business needs, possess the agility and the strategies to prepare successfully for the future business, market, and operating environments. Now, our founding Prime Minister once shared that a leader without the vision to strive to improve things is no good. Then you will just stay put, you won't progress. So we talk a bit about culture, but we also shared that values help to shape this culture. So values reflect what is important to us. They are a fast way of describing our individual motivations. And understanding these values help us understand why we react the way we do. So in my experience as a leadership and service experience consultant, I would suggest that you relook into the criteria as shared in the Singapore Business Excellence Framework. And that is a good place for us to begin, to ask ourselves what was done well and what could have been done better. There's no right or wrong culture, but the culture is always changing in response to internal and external influences. Now, the Singapore Central Provident Fund Board, which administers our national security scheme, started building their culture of excellence since 1987. Our Singapore International Airlines, which is the flag carrier of Singapore, commenced their service excellence journey since 1972. And the National Library Board Singapore story, you will hear it later from my colleague. So if you're still wondering what's our secret to building that culture of excellence, looking for a quick fix or shortcuts, it's difficult. It all begins with a vision, the drive towards excellence, and one that is values-driven. So I am very certain that with quality as your key pillar, coupled with wise leadership, success will be guaranteed. And of course, in Singapore, we look forward to partnering you on this quality journey, the path towards excellence and leadership. And of course, I wish you every success in this 6th National Quality Conference and in the achievement of your Vision 2030. With this, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kitson. And now we'll move to our third presentation, which is about lean transformation for Singapore process excellence by Mr. Chan Ki-an. Mr. Chan Ki-an is a Vice Chairman, Education at Singapore Quality Institute. He's also the Director of Optimum Consultancy and Training. Prior to this, he held a position in Regional Executive Director, Quality and Reliability Technology Engineering at Seagate Singapore International Headquarters. He has 25 years of experience in senior management position at reputable multinational organizations. Chan has attained a Master of Science in Computer Integrated Manufacturing from Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, a bachelor degree in engineering from National University of Singapore, and a graduate diploma in business administration from Singapore Institute of Management. Please join me to welcome Mr. Chan.
Thank you. Yeah, I have still 10 more minutes before noon, so I can still say good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I have a pleasure to share with you the topics on the lean transformation for Singapore process excellence. Well, the business and employment environment in Singapore is going through structural change. As we say, we are still going through structural change. Change is forever coming in this kind of society and industry. Business needs to achieve a breakthrough in productivity, growth, and to stay competitive. So, as organizations innovated and restructured, and they become increasingly manpower lean and productive, they adopted a new paradigm with an effective holistic lean transformation to respond to today's challenges. Well, Lean Enterprise Development Scheme is available to all small business enterprise in Singapore. Over 1,400 SME started restructuring project to become manpower lean in the first year of government scheme. Our manpower minister said that it is manpower lean and calling the response so far encouraging. So what is lean transformation? Well, let's look at this sushi restaurant's closed-loop food conveyor system. The most popular and quickly taken up foods by the customers are placed on a conveyor, transported within reach to the customers, as compared to the food that was served by the waiters in the past. The goal of this innovation is to provide value to customers through a value creation process that is supported by fewer resources with an optimized process and minimum waste. Creative enterprise that have a system of lean management that's concentrated on a 3-trust and 3-tier lean management system. This is a system innovated by this company to implement a successful lean transformation. So with this 3-trust and 3-tier lean management system, it facilitates a daily problem-solving environment. And it is also coupled with one of its most effective tools and techniques, the rigorous phrase of A3 problem-solving approach in a persistent strive for process excellence. So there is many approaches on tools and techniques, but this case study that I've taken, this company has taken the approach to an A3 process. So what is the 3 trusts of the enterprise excellence model? So here is the illustration. Trust 1, as we have past speaker have said, how important the cultural principles is important to a company. Right, so over here, as you can see, the cultural principles are made up of people thinking, the safety, the people, and the most important of all, the leadership behavior. So like the previous speaker have spoken on the culture and the leaders' importance of leaders to the culture. Here it is shown in this company that is very important. And the enterprise-wide embedded behavior of waste elimination that consists, make up of the cultural behaviors and principles. The next one is the continuous improvement. It's the optimum deployment of tools and techniques to support the enterprise continuous improvement techniques, initiative and techniques. And trust 3, customer focus, which is in line with the enterprise customer satisfaction objective. So the 3-tier lean management system that facilitates a daily problem-solving environment is comprised of 3 level boards, namely the work cell level boards, department level boards, and company level boards in implementing their projects and solving the daily problems faced by the enterprise. Tier 1, work cell level board. The main task is for the purpose of problem solving. These work cells are located in the workplace. The leaders are the supervisor of the respective work cells. Tier 2 is the department level board. The main task is to support Tier 1 work cell, and they are located at the department location in the workplace. The leaders are the managers of the respective department work cells. Tier 3 is a company level board. The main task is to support the value streams, infrastructures, and a supporting system. There is only one such work cell in the business unit, and it is headed by the general manager. The tier leaders conduct the daily standing meeting without fail. Deputy takes over when the chief is on leave. The duration of each meeting is not more than 30 minutes. This is to keep the discussion concise and straight to the point. So what is a work cell level board? A work cell level board is an action list format, handwritten down and assigned who and when for the action identified. In this case, any staff in the organization, even if he is not working in the respective work cell, can assign a task to the work cell. This is because the respective cell leader will review the task and will make the following decision when appropriate. 1, he will accept the task. 2, he will assign a new completion date. Or he will transfer the task to another tier when appropriate. So it makes problem solving pretty easy within the organization. The work cell, it is sketched out on a large piece of paper or whiteboard and post it in a visible location for all to see at the workplace. It empowers the employee through a visual management system at a glance to drive daily improvement because it is visible on each work cells where people pass by would be able to view it as a glance. Deployment of A3 The 3-tier system has the flexibility of task movement from one tier to another, both top-down and bottom-up. This clicker is not working very fine. Sorry about it. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that clicking. The 3-tier system has the flexibility of task movement from one tier to another, both top-down and bottom-up. An example is when a task is moved from tier 1 to tier 2, or if the scope of the project involves multiple cells in the department level. So the task can be moved to the appropriate level for solution, for efforts to solve the issue. What is A3? A3 is a structured problem-solving continuous improvement approach, first employed by Toyota and typically used by lean manufacturing practitioners. A3 leads to problem-solving over the structure placed on the ISO A3 single sheet paper. This is where the process got its name.
5 minutes.
The A3 approach will help develop a logical and critical thinking process in the organization to help identify, organize, and track and communicate the status of the project. This will facilitate talent development and deepening problem-solving capabilities. Deployment of A3 for problem solving. The present status and the target must be smartly defined. As many speakers have spoken, data has to be clearly measurable, so smartly defined, the SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound, so that the gaps can be clearly identified. Now we will go through the rigorous process of A3 approach. We take a piece of A3 paper and lay it in a landscape format. Divide the paper into 4 areas. You will notice that the quadrants are bigger on the left-hand side because there are 3 stages in the left hand and 2 stages on the right hand. Subdivide first area, area 1 on the top left-hand corner by a horizontal dotted line. So we have divided the paper into 5 quadrants. The first area is named as plan, the first step of the PDCA cycle. Here we grasp the situation, we define the objective and form the team, and also set the targets clearly. The rigorous process of this nature of the A3 is because at every stage there needs a management review. The review is to ensure that the objective and the measure are well defined and the appropriate team are formed, and help can be rendered to the team if necessary. Once it is approved by management for the team to move forward to stage 2, analysis of issue begins. The team will describe the current stage of the situation, perform analysis such as value stream analysis, the deployment of 7C QC tool in the data analysis, and establish the root cause. Similarly to stage 1, a second management review before allowing the team to proceed to a third stage. In stage 3, here the countermeasure of the corrective action has to be established. While establishing the corrective action has been established, the standard operating procedure for the corrective action has to be completed. And then this stage is also requiring a management review before the team can move on to stage 4. In stage 4, we evaluate the effectiveness of the countermeasure. Compare the measure before and after to evaluate the desired targets that has been achieved. Only in stage 4, there is no management review, as we review it in the final management together with stage 5. In stage 5, we perform an implementation, we display results, we describe lessons learned, and offer recommendation, if any, for future development. Once this is done, the last management review is called. When approval is given by the management for the project completion, the management and the team leader will lead in congratulating the team for a work well done. So this shows the importance of the management and the team leader to encourage the staffs to continue improving the system. Wide adoption of lean transformation through all levels of organization create a community of problem solvers. People will begin to think of every activity that is posted as a potential learning activity, rooted in everyday work, an organization with lean culture. So this is a demonstration of the leadership is required for the implementation of a culture in a company as well. I wish you success for your 2013 vision. Thank you very much for our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chan. And now we'll move to our fourth and the last presentation. Our speaker is Dr. Narendra Kaur. Narendra Kaur, she is the Chief Operational Excellence Singapore National Library Board. During her 10 years at National Library Board, she chalked up experience in diverse areas, currently oversees the quality, service management, and organizational excellence portfolios. Prior to joining public service, Dr. Kaur worked in the private sector for more than 15 years, especially in the areas of corporate planning, human capability development, and corporate governance. She has always been interested in dynamics of human relationships and has been able to pursue her lifelong interest in the area of her various career paths. Dr. Kaur has a Doctor of Philosophy in Corporate Governance, and also she lectures part-time on ethics and corporate governance at Singapore Institute of Management. Please join me to welcome Dr. Kaur.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm happy to be here at this conference and very pleased to deliver my case study on National Library Board, Singapore, a public sector organization. Since morning, there's lots been mentioned about business excellence and the framework. I will now walk through as to how we have deployed the framework in our organization. Okay, for any organization, it's standard, we have our vision, mission, and our shared values. In National Library Board, this is institutionalized in every staff, the internal stakeholders. We emphasize on our values, and the staff are supposed to demonstrate these values when they serve the customers. This is a corporate overview, a very snapshot of what the National Library is. We've got one National Library, one archive, 26 public libraries, all the staff, that's our product and services, and that's our results. Whenever we plan any framework in NLB, we don't look at the results first or the KPIs, but we look as to how we can serve our various stakeholders, that is internal and external stakeholders. We also have volunteers, growing number of people who want to come and volunteer with us. We have used this business excellence framework for the last 20 years in National Library Board. I only joined the National Library Board 10 years ago. Before that, I was in the private sector. This has been our journey in National Library Board with the BE framework. National Library Board is the only organization in Singapore who has won the Innovation Award twice. We're the only organization that has won the Singapore Medallion Award and the Singapore Quality Award many times. We are going for another award next year, which is the highest level, the pinnacle. Each of these awards only lasts for 5 years. After 5 years, you've got to go for renewal. And that's very good because that does not allow us to sit still and say, okay, we got the award, now let's be complacent. So we are always innovating, we are always on the go. How do we make that happen? We've got a strategy. National Library Board reports to the Ministry of Communication and Information. For our strategy, we get a direction from them and we serve the community. To start and to hang the whole organization, we've got a very clear-cut strategy that is in line with the ministry and the whole of government. So we serve the community, we have our NLB, vision, mission, the public libraries and the archives, the various master plans comes into place. We've got the various master plans, the drivers, the goals, the strategic priorities, and this strategy is supported by digital strategy, customer strategy, people development processes, and our key KPIs. Very clearly stipulated. This is communicated to everybody in NLB, from the leader down to the staff, volunteers, and other stakeholders. So everybody understands what we are doing, where we are going to, how we're going to get there. So it's all in partnership. This is how we champion our values in NLB. The lady you see over there is my CEO, Mrs. Elaine Ng, serving a library patron who comes to the library in a wheelchair. Our shared values. All the staff can articulate the shared values because we serve customers. And when we serve customers, we serve them with all respect, integrity, and passion. So they can demonstrate all the behaviors. We engage our customers. Any innovation that we have in NLB is always co-created. We have focus groups. We take customer feedback very seriously. Whatever feedback is given to us, we always incorporate the feedback in our innovations that come about. This is our customer-centric framework in which how we manage our customers. In Singapore, National Library Board is #1 in managing its customers. This framework has been put in place by various ways, and we measure. The reason why we measure is because we want to know how are we doing? Where do we need to improve? Where do we need to put in more resources? This is very much in line with the BE framework. BE framework, category 2 is customers. Category 1 is leadership. We get the blessings from the leaders. They will institutionalize everything that the organization needs. Customers, category 2 is the winning angle. We have all this in place, and we also work very closely with the public service division, the values in it, customer centricity. NLB is a very progressive organization in engaging the customers, listening to them. Whenever they have problems and challenges, we go and meet and ask them, what's the problem? So this is a dynamic framework. We focus quite a bit on co-creation. We've got different segments of customers. So the library caters for customers from all walks of life: preschoolers, adults, seniors, government, and researchers. All the libraries have got books that caters for the various target audiences, but depending on where the libraries are located, so the mix of the books will vary based on the demographics around the particular library. This is how we get our people. Nothing is possible if we don't have the right people for the right job, training, and development. So this is how we develop our people. Right people, right job. Groom our people, build. Groom our managers, leaders. Get the potential ones who want to take higher challenges. See how we can fast track them to real leadership positions. So we have got a framework in place. So we got a framework in place for leadership. We got a framework in place for customers, for people. There are more frameworks to come. This is our framework for innovation. Very forceful. Everybody in NLB is into innovation. They are walking and they are thinking, how can I innovate? Something which is 10 steps, how can I reduce it to 3 steps, to 5 steps? Today I've innovated. 3 years down the road, I still need to innovate. This is in place. We've got the vision, mission, and all the various components: knowledge, competency. We care for our patrons and partners, culture and communication. Communication is very important. In whatever we do, we need to get the buy-in. External stakeholders, internal stakeholders. Ideation and experiment. How do we deploy this? Anybody in NLB can take a product, innovate, and go through this. We never say no to any idea. So we put the idea through this: concept, POC, prototype, pilot, rollout, operation, retirement. No idea is not a good idea. Every idea is brilliant, brilliant. It might not be workable now, but it might be workable in a few years' time. If it is workable, maybe with some modifications. So this has been in place, and there are many beautiful ideas, all from staff. Robot-assisted shelf-reading system. Previously, it was done by people. Now it's done by robot. Self-service reservation system. Previously, it was done by people at the counter. Now there's an auto machine. NLB Mobile. You can borrow books, take the book, take your handphone, click, you borrow, and you walk out the book. Library at Orchard is totally manless. You can borrow. Auto sorter. When you return the book is sorted out in the various bins. And then we got our robot who will go and place the books back on the shelf. All this innovation, all these staff ideas, everything done by ourselves. Innovation. Strong leadership, customer focus, innovation. Knowledge management. In fact, a month ago, we just got the award, International Award on Knowledge Management. We do all this. How do we capture the data? How do we keep the data? Where are the systems? How do the staff look at what we have done, new staff, what we have done? How do we study on that and come up with other plans? Information capture, learning collaborations, knowledge depository, organizational processes, and business analytics, which is a buzzword nowadays. So that's how we create our knowledge. We keep it, we archive it, we learn. There are many systems in place. How do we make sure that my colleagues across NLB use this data and make sure they file everything according to systems and processes? We institutionalized. It's in them to do this automatic. Once they have a plan, they implement it, they will log it in. It's a process. Some of the key drivers, the most important thing is sharing and trust. Trust is very important. They will get everything moving. Whatever system you put in place, there's trust, there's empowerment, it will move on. These are some of the compliments which we have received from our customers who've been all around the world. Then they come back and they compliment the library. Very interesting. Finest community libraries in the world. most wonderful public library system in the world, being the flagship and role model for all Singaporeans and libraries globally. So it's after all the hard work and all the frameworks put in place and all the staff so motivated to work, it's very nice to get such compliments. This is the best part of it. This is the results. Whenever we put a framework, we deploy the framework and we look how it is moving on and do the fine tunes. We never look at the results until we see there is success. So our compliment-complaint ratio for 2016 is 442 compliments to 1 complaint, the highest in Singapore. In Singapore, we don't really get people to compliment very easily. In Singaporeans, sometimes they're more easy, they give feedback easily, not compliments. But the library receives lots of compliments. And that is the Customer Satisfaction Index, which we do every year. It's conducted by National Library Board to see and get feedback from customers on how NLB is doing in every area, be it IT, website, customer service, leadership, training, staff. This document, we design the instrument, we hire a consulting firm to do the research for us. The index right at the end is an international global benchmark for customer service, and NLB is number 1. Right up there, the blue line. This is done by the Institute of Service Excellence in Singapore at the Singapore Management University. That is by managing customers. We won't be able to manage customers and have such a high rating if the leadership was not there, the culture was not there, the innovation frameworks were not there, the KM framework were not there. So we got there. Satisfaction, trust. Trust is very important. People trust. It takes very long to build trust. But once trust is built, they come to the library, not only to borrow books, but we've got programs. It's a community place. So the rating for trust is very high. NLB has been featured as a case study all around the world, in whatever journal you can mention, be it Harvard Business Review, Warwick Business Review, INSEAD journals, all over the world. We're very proud of it. The latest was the textbook, Service Marketing. There's this professor in the National University of Singapore who writes textbooks for 70 over countries around the world, and he features National Library Board in our innovation, leadership, culture, and customers as to the success formula. Now, this success formula would not have been around if it did not carefully follow the BE framework, the Business Excellence Framework. It's not easy, but it's a journey. We start somewhere, and there we are, all over the place. It goes on in all these journals and books. I'm reaching my last slide, and I want to also mention a couple of things, as my fellow colleagues have covered quite a bit about the Business Excellence Framework, culture, communication, in the way we champion the Business Excellence Framework. One thing has been missing from the morning till now. I've heard the word passion. Nothing will be possible if we don't have passion in us to champion it. If we have passion in it and we believe in it, we'll be able to move the BE framework and whatever we want to champion in an organization very easily. This is very evident because when we go for an award every other year in NLB, it's a lot of resources and it's a lot of strain and extra work for all the staff. But when I go around the organization, after winning one award, my colleagues in the organization will ask me, so next year, which award are we going for? They're always looking forward to go for another award and another award, and it's very comforting. I'm very happy to see that they are not thinking of, there's a lot of work to do, but they feel very happy being involved in the whole process. And this is possible because we get everybody involved in the process. The leader sets the tone. The leader sets the tone and everybody gets involved in it. There is no hierarchy. There is no division of, all the divisions work together and we work as one big family. And it's beautiful when we get the results. And it's very nice and comforting working with the National Library Board. And on this note, I wish you the best for this conference and achieving the 2030 vision with passion. Thank you.
Thank you very much for excellent presentation. Thank you, Dr. Kaur, and thanks for all presenters today who shared with us excellent presentations about the journey of excellence in all sectors, in several sectors in Singapore. And now we'll open the floor to the questions. We'll take question by question. We'll take from this side. I want to hear question from this side. You ask question. Let's give a chance for some other. Okay, go ahead. Huh? And the next question will be for the female. سؤال للرجال وسؤال للنساء.
Thank you very much all for your inspirational presentation. I have 3 questions. I have to make them very short. The first one to Mr. Kin, that you had moved in Singapore from labor-intensive to high-tech, capital-intensive, this is the I know. I would like to know how you went into that process. The second question to Mr. Key, and you talk about small company, and I'm talking about life expectancy of a small business, of a small corporation is shorter than the big corporation. If I can give you an example, Stora in Sweden had passed more than 600 years of their age. Shell, now more than 100, 105 of their age. However, a small business, despite any type of excellence, the failure is very high. Tendency of short age is very high. The one for the Dr. Kumar about the library, and you said you have one national library.
Yes.
Saudi Arabia also have King Fahd National Library. And King Fahd National Library, to put it in short, they have access to all periodicals around the world. They have a primary and secondary information, and they have at least more than 500 data banks accessible for all people, all Saudi people to use. And there are people who can help them to find out what is the primary, secondary information. The precision ratio of research is very high, and you know the precision ratio as such. However,
can you make it short?
How can we encourage the Saudi citizen to tell them that they have information treasury set by the government, accessible for all business investors? However, the number of customers is not as expected. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll start with you, Tin.
Now, that's a very interesting question, and I'm happy to address that. Now, Singapore, we have evolved from a labor-intensive to high-value-added products. Now, first and foremost, Singapore, unfortunately, we are not an oil-producing nation. A lot of our economy is dependent on services. We used to spend a fair bit of time in the manufacturing, and we realized that it's difficult for us to compete in the global marketplace. We have no oil, we have limited resources, and what is happening to us also is because of our aging population in Singapore. It's very different from Saudi, where you shared that you have more of a percentage of people below the age of 30. In Singapore, we have an aging population. So number one, there is a push for us to move forward. There is a push for us to move into a culture of continuous learning. So in terms of how our government does it, is of course is complemented by even like National Library Board by encouraging learners for life. We also set up an agency that looks into the continual learning. So that's how there is a push because of environmental constraints. And therefore, we have in the situation of, I would say, no choice, but we need to move. So we formed this culture of learning, this culture of continuous innovation, this culture of always trying to do even better. So this is embedded in a very typical Singaporean culture and a very typical values of a Singaporean.
Okay, we'll move to the Mr. Chen.
Okay, yeah, I understand that you talk about the life expectancy between the multinational company versus the SME, right? Basically, we spend a lot of efforts into the SME in Singapore because we can see that some of the SME eventually will grow to be a MNC, right? So that's why the effort is put into the SME to try to work with them to make them survive and to grow internationally.
Okay, thank you. Third question to you, Dr. Kaur.
The library, the question that I understand is your library has got a lot of resources, but there is limited visitorship, and you want to increase the visitorship. Yes. We had the same problem a few years ago for our archives and our National Library. We took on a project which we went out to educate the people on what resources and materials the library had and how they could use it, firstly. Secondly, the materials were made accessible online and on handphones through the e-resources channel. So visitorship increases digitally, and once teachers, school students start giving them projects which need to consult the materials in the library, then you get a wider visitorship of people coming into the libraries. So we had various levels of market education, customer education, patron education, going out and telling them what are the materials we have, how we can use them. And we work with various stakeholders, seniors, Ministry of Education, volunteers, on go out to spread on what we had. The other one is digital. Now everybody wants their materials online. They want their materials anywhere, everywhere. So all our e-resources database are accessible on their iPads, handphones, or the computer in their house. So they don't have to leave their house to come to the library. They can have a digital library in their house. So that helps us to increase our digital visitorships. Physical visitorships has not decreased, it's stagnant. So many people they also read books, paper books, but the readership is not increasing very much. That's why we now have a national reading movement in Singapore. The national reading movement gets people to come into the library to read physical books. So we have various master plans that helps us to manage our collection and increase the usage.
شكرا لكم
Thank you.
جميعا.
We'll take question from the ladies section.
أعتذر عن
الأخوات.
لكن الوقت انتهى مع الأسف.
أوكي، في أحد عنده سؤال من الأخوات؟ حتى بالعربي. طيب، ما في أسئلة؟ يعني مفهوم، كل شيء مفهوم. زين، زين، من الأخوات في أحد؟ طيب ناخذ سؤال من هنا قدام في النص. Okay.
السلام عليكم شكرا لكم لحضوركم عبد العزيز
الصوت لو
الغامدي.
سمحت.
عبد العزيز الغامدي من شركة كاسكو. السؤال لمستر جيبسون. The question is regarding the education which is overcome the challenges within CME's companies. Now, how you guys integrate the education culture in the management of SMEs or a corporate? Because the problem always comes when cutting cost, it's reflect on education. They cut training always. How you guys overcome that in Singapore, whether SMEs or corporate?
I hope I get your question correct, which is how do we integrate the culture into the SME?
He's
the
saying
education.
If you cut cost in education, it might impact your. How do you handle that one with education?
In your presentation, you mentioned education is one of the solutions to overcome challenges. One of your slides you mentioned. Now, with regard to SMEs or corporate companies, always it happens, the education, when it comes to cut cost, always goes to education. Now, how you guys embrace or integrate that education necessity within the management or the leadership culture?
Right, okay. Now, how do we do that in Singapore? I believe as what Narendra also mentioned, Singapore actually, we believe a lot in promotions. So sometimes when you realize that things do not work out too well, so the team will gather and they will introduce initiatives or certain promotions. Now, when we talk about this culture or culture of learning and the culture of education, all right, in Singapore, we all grew up with the need and this desire to learn. So it's been embedded in typical values of a Singaporean. We spent many years in education in Singapore. So this quest for knowledge, the drive for knowledge. Now, having said that as well, sometimes in SMEs, the challenge of the culture of learning is because we are so busy with the day-to-day work and activities. I'm not sure if the similar culture right here, but in Singapore, it always happens. So what the government has done as well is to encourage these companies to send their employees out to learn new skills, to learn new capabilities. And on top of that, what the Singapore government does is to help to elevate some of these costs in terms of the learning. So to encourage the SMEs to play the active role. So because of this, it sort of increases the culture of learning. And why do we do that in Singapore, to have that culture of learning? It is simply because we need to continually advance. We need to continually work towards in that transformative economy. We cannot be in a position that when the world changes and we still remain what we are or what we think we want to be. Just the same as how the library has transformed. Just the same as how the Singapore Airlines has also transformed. It all begins with that same culture of continuous learning, innovation, but of course, it all starts from the leadership. And in our case, we are fortunate to say that the leadership begins with our government.
Okay. For the sake of, you want to add something? Yes. Okay, very good. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I add on to that. In Singapore, we continuously learn. We learn through our academic schools. There's the primary, secondary, the pre-U, the college, the university. Once you start working, is the in-house professional development courses. In line with that, the government has set out various institutions where we can also go and learn other skills that we need to acquire in the journey of life. When you're working, you require different skills, okay? When you want to have a mid-career change, maybe you need to have certain skills. There are institutions and there are subsidies in which we can go and draw down and learn the skill and have a mid-career change. Down the road, one fine day when you retire, When you retire, you have different type of requirements, maybe hobbies, traveling, cooking, etc., etc. You want to go for courses on that, you can go for the courses and make a enjoyable retirement. So it's continuous learning in Singapore. We never stop learning and studying. So it's a wonderful a journey that the government has put in place.
Okay, we'll conclude with your
I
remarks.
would like to add an additional point on the aspect of education, which is very synonymous to training. When we are trying to inculcate, let's say, the culture of adopting business excellence framework, what some small, medium-sized enterprises have done is they deploy the senior managers to be advisors, to try to teach their own departments and the next levels, all right, the processes and the criteria for business excellence. And on top of that, they have also assigned the more experienced employees to guide the new employees, which they call buddy system. Now with that, you do not have to incur too much of cost. It becomes a kind of culture and becomes part and parcel of the role modeling within the organization. So even SMEs don't have to spend too much money, of course, in that aspect, because it becomes part and parcel of their work life. All right?
Okay, thank you. And for the sake of the time, I think we will conclude now. The presenters will be available during the breaks. I would like to thank you all for the excellent presentations, and I would like to thank you for excellent listening and participation, and wish you the best for the rest of the program. And let's thank the presenters again. And thank you. Have a good day.
شكرا جزيلا لكم جميعا. ننوه فقط بأنه يوجد مسابقة الجودة والمشاركة فيها تكون عن طريق تحميل تطبيق المؤتمر على الأجهزة الذكية أو عن طريق زيارة الموقع الإلكتروني www.nqc.gov.sa. وسوف تعلن أسماء الفائزين قبل الجلسة الختامية غدا بمشيئة الله. يوجد الآن تكريم للمتحدثين من قبل الدكتور جميل. الأستاذ تان جي هانغ آن. الأستاذ كيتسون لينارد لي. الأستاذ كي آن شام. والدكتورة ناريندر كاور. وأيضا يود معالي الدكتور خالد السبتي رئيس هيئة التقويم والتعليم تكريم الدكتور جميل البقعاوي. سنذهب الآن إلى استراحة قصيرة ونعود إن شاء الله الساعة 1. شكرا لكم. يمكنكم أيضا زيارة المعرض المصاحب في الدور الأرضي. شكرا.